Yeah, uh, very good morning once again. I hope I'm audible. Before we start, we'll quickly take the follow up for online course with some people. I know that some of you have already completed it, so I'll not ask you. If I ask you by mistake, just tell me that you have completed it. But I would like to ask Kandar. Kandar, yes. Yeah, so you are saying that you will complete it today. That's wonderful. So, Kandat, when you complete the course, just let me know that you have completed and also update your status in that spreadsheet which I have shared. Okay, Kandat. Now, uh, Khushi, what is your status? You have completed? Khushi? Okay, all right. Neelam, I suppose you have also completed? Neelam? Okay, all right. Got it. Hoshio, what is your status? I'm not able to hear you. There's some issue with the sound at your end, Hoshio, I guess. I'm not able to hear you. Ankit, when are you completing the course, online course? Okay, Ankit. So today, when you complete the course, just let me know that you have completed it and also uh, update that spreadsheet which I have shared. Hoshio, you may write your status in the chat box so that I can know what is exactly the status and what are you up to. Okay, you have not received a certificate. All right, fine. I guess when did you complete it, Hoshio? Today, yesterday, the day before yesterday. When did you complete it? 2 weeks ago. Okay, you completed it 2 weeks ago, and you have not received a certificate. Do you have the screenshot of completion? Like you have completed the course or anything of that sort? Fine. All right. Hoshio, you do one thing. You already have the email ID on which you can mail your query. So you write a mail to that email ID saying that you have already completed the course 2 weeks ago and you have not received the certificate so far. Do that today. All right. Okay. Now let me ask you a general question. Is there anybody right now in this class um, who is doing the course, who is pursuing the course, doing the course? It's not completed. Apart from Kandar, Bankit, and the people I asked, is there anybody who is doing the course? Umesh, what is your status, Umesh? Umesh, Varun, what about you? Varun, done. Okay. Thank you, Varun. Vivek, you have already done it, right? Vivek,
Yes, sir.
completed, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Completed.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. So, since we are in a good position, um, those of you who are still doing it, please complete it by today, latest by tomorrow. And when you complete, let me know that you have completed and update the status in the spreadsheet without fail. Having said that, let's get on with the syllabus. Those of you who were there in the previous class, they know that last time we heard the story speech sound. We heard the audio. It was a pretty lengthy audio for almost for half an hour. But we know that okay, what is happening in the story and what's the central idea of the story and what are the characters, different characters in the story doing, and what's actually the thing. Um, is there anything which you have not understood in the story, or is there anything which you would like to discuss further or discuss more? Tell me that first. Otherwise, I would discuss what I want to discuss or what I need to discuss. But before that, first I'll give you a chance if you want to discuss something pertaining to the story or pertaining to what you heard in the last class. Anything that you want to share? How many of you liked the story? How many of you liked the story? Firdaus says I did. Okay, Firdaus liked the story. What about other people? Firdaus, what did you like the most in the story? You may unmute your mic also and speak.
ગુડ મોર્નિંગ સર સર નતું જોઈન થતું કેટલી વાર ડિસમિસ થઈ ગઈ લેટ થઈ ગયું જોઈન થવા સર.
Okay, okay, no problem. Yes, Firdaus. Why? What did you like the most?
Good morning. I liked the whole story, the fact that it was about the signs or something like people could not speak and it's a disease. I just like the creativity of the story, the imagination, and the last bit of it where the woman could speak and she decided to take on the children. Yeah.
Right, correct. So what you find in the story actually is that uh, the society is suffering from this strange virus, this strange disease, um, which actually takes away human beings' abilities to communicate, to speak, to read, and to write. So there are only few people who are able to, in the story, who are able to actually read, write, or speak. But they are even not, even they are not doing it, though they know and though they can, though they are not infected with the virus. they are not either speaking or reading or writing, because they are really afraid. Now, why are they afraid? They are afraid because uh, the situation got so bad that people started killing other people. Okay, they started killing one another for varieties of reasons, right? So, and there are quite a few scenes in that story where you will find that people kill. You will find people killing the other people. Okay, so there is a uh, strange animosity uh, amongst the people for no reason actually. And why I'm saying no reason is because the virus or the disease is actually nobody is at fault. People may kill one another for some reason, for someone has done something wrong, or something might have happened. So then we can understand that, okay, now this was the reason people killed. Here, this is very strange because, as I said, the situation got so worse and people got so frustrated, people got so scared that they started killing one another. Situation actually went out of control. And those who were not infected with this virus, those who could still read, speak, and write, they were also scared because they felt that if we come out and if we show that, okay, we can still speak, read, and write, other people will kill us. So you will say violence, you will see jealousy, you will see killings, a disease. Yeah. So the similar kind of situation, the situation that we came across in the story, the similar kind of situation we are also passing through in the current times. A small virus, a small virus can change everything. Everything. Dhruvisha is asking something. Ray can speak. Yes, Dhruvisha, Ray can speak. But as I said, she was literally scared and afraid that if she speaks, see, there are two things here. Number one is the situation became so tensed that even those people who are not affected, they actually, I don't know whether it is correct to use this word here, but they actually uh, forgot that they are not affected with the virus and they can still communicate. They literally forgot. And those of the people who remembered that they could speak, read, they could communicate, they were afraid, they were scared. And that's what we see at the end of the story. So if you remember what is the end, where this protagonist, Ray, meets two children, two kids who also could speak and who were also afraid because the kids thought that Ray would kill them. Just imagine the situation. Now, it is possible for us to imagine this now. No, if we had learned this story, or if we had discussed this story 2 years back, we would not have imagined, right? Today, we are able to imagine what kind of situation may occur due to a virus, because we are passing through such situation, similar kind of situation. Right. So if you the end of the story is very important for us, and that's where we also get our language inputs. So what I'll do is, uh, let me share the PDF, and we'll go directly to the end of the story. Just give me a moment. I hope you're able to see the screen. Now you read this. For example, from here, when she had gotten him onto the floor in the back, she returned for the woman. The little girl, thin, dirty, Solomon, stood up and unknowingly gave Ray a gift. Look at this word, gift. That little girl gave Ray a gift. And what is the gift? The gift is words, language, speaking. Look at the next sentence. As Ray began to drag the woman by her arms, the little girl screamed, "No." Ray dropped the woman and stared at the girl. "No," the girl repeated. She came to stand beside the woman. "Go away," she told Ray. See, look at this. The girl is really afraid of Ray. And there is this little boy also. The little boy says, "Don't talk." The little boy said to her. There was no blurring or confusing of sounds. Both children had spoken and Ray had understood. Look at this line. Both of those children could speak and Ray could understand. So they still had that ability to communicate and to understand. The boy looked at the dead murderer and moved further from him. He took the girl's hand. "Be quiet," he whispered. "Be quiet." What he said? "Be quiet," he whispered. Why? Because if you speak, and if you speak loudly, you will be killed. And look at the next paragraph. Fluent speech. Had the woman died because she could speak and had taught her children to talk? So the woman which was dead, who was dead. Now the question is, had she died because she could talk and had taught her children to talk? Because people used to hate other people who could talk because of the virus. So they actually used to kill people who could talk. Look at the next line. Had she been killed by a husband's festering anger or by a stranger's jealous rage? And the children, they must have been born after the silence. Had the disease run its course then? Ray also has these questions in her head, that how come these children can speak? Has the disease gone? Has the virus gone? Or were these children simply immune? Or their immunity is so strong that the virus is not affecting them? Certainly, they had had time to fall sick and silent. Ray's mind leaped. Ray's mind leaped ahead. Now look at this line, next line. What if children of 3 or fewer years were safe and able to learn language? Question. Possibility. Right? Optimistic view. Possibility. What if children of 3 or fewer years were safe and able to learn language? Then we can save this world. What if they all needed were teachers? Teachers and protectors. Ray glanced at the dead murderer. To her shame, she thought she could understand some of the passions that must have driven him. Whomever he was, anger, frustration, hopelessness, insane jealousy. How many more of him were there? People willing to destroy what they could not have. So a lot of thoughts are going on in Ray's head after he heard the children speaking. After she heard the children speaking, sorry. Obsidian. Now we know who Obsidian is. The man who protected Ray earlier, and then Ray went along with him. And he's now not there. He's also no more. He has been killed. Obsidian had been the protector, had chosen that role for who knew what reason. Perhaps putting on an obsolete uniform and patrolling the empty streets had been what he did instead of putting a gun into his mouth. This is also a very important sentence for us. Obsidian did not put a gun into his mouth. He did not commit the suicide, because there were people at that time who committed suicide in the fear that somebody would kill them. And now look at the next sentence. And now that there was something worth protecting, he was gone. She had been a teacher, a good one. So it is here, it is at this place we come to know that Ray had been a teacher, a good teacher. She had been a protector too, though only of herself. She had kept herself alive when she had no reason to live. Look at this sentence. She had kept herself alive when she had no reason to live. What a sentence it is. There was nobody. Her children died, her husband died, parents died. There was nobody. Still she kept herself alive. Look at the next sentence. If the illness let these children alone, she could keep them alive. If these children do not get affected, there is a hope that she can keep them alive. Somehow, she lifted the dead woman into her arms and placed her on the back seat of the car. The children began to cry, but she knelt on the broken pavement and whispered to them. Children, now they began to cry because they were scared. They were scared that they'll be killed. But what this protagonist did, what Ray did, she knelt on the broken pavement and whispered to them, fearful of frightening them with the harshness of her long, unused voice. What is the keyword here? Unused voice. She had voice, but it was unused, long unused, because there was nobody to speak. There was nobody to communicate to. Now imagine a situation that you cannot communicate with other people even for a day. You cannot talk, you cannot write, you cannot read even for a day, even for 24 hours. I bet you it becomes very difficult for all of us to survive. And here is the situation where people have lost their ability to communicate. Imagine the plight of those people who went through this. And look at the way Ray actually motivated the children. She said, "It's all right." She told them, "You are going with us too. Come on." She lifted them both, one in each arm. They were so light. Had they been getting enough to eat? Had they been fed well? The boy, in the next paragraph, the boy covered her mouth with his hand, but she moved her face away. The boy covered her mouth with his hand because he did not want to speak anything. He thought, even if by mistake I speak something, I'll be killed. But she moved her face away. And it's all right for me to talk, she told him. Ray told him that it's all right for me to talk. As long as no one is around, it's all right. See, as long as no one is around, it's all right. She put the boy down on the front seat of the car and he moved over without being told to make room for the girl. When they were both in the car, Ray leaned against the window, looking at them, seeing that they were less afraid now, that they watched her with at least as much curiosity as fear. All of them are curious. Ray is also curious. The two children are also curious. Ray is curious because she found the children speaking. She was taken aback. She was surprised. And these two children, they're also curious because they could find that Ray could also speak. And they were also surprised as to why this lady did not kill them. And then Ray introduces herself. She says, "I'm Valerie Ray." She said, savoring the words, "It's all right for you to talk to me." And that's how the story ends. So it is here that we get the crux of the story. And it is here that we get our language input also, because there are some dialogues. Now, what is interesting to note is almost the entire story, okay, if you look at right from the beginning to the end, almost the entire story is written in past. Okay, is written in past tense. This happened. Dialogues, all the dialogues, there are only a few dialogues in the story, but all of them are in present situation. So you look at the dialogues like, you are going with us. It's all right for you to talk to me. Or it's all right for me to talk. Right? We'll be discussing more about present in terms of language a little later. But before that, I would also like you to read this thing. Right? This is how, now this afterword, which you can see on the screen right now, actually tells us how the writer, that is Octavia Butler, Dhruvisha says the third person. Yes, Dhruvisha, third person is saying this story. And who's that third person? The third person is the writer herself. Right? And to know more about how this story came up in writer's head, it is very interesting to read this afterword that you are seeing on the screen right now. Just go through it. It is very interesting. I'm keeping it there for a couple of minutes. Just tell me if you want me to stop because I am scrolling it down. You please unmute your mic and speak. I would not be able to see your comments while I am doing that. So if you want me to stop, please unmute your mic and tell me. Done? Are you done reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Now this is how the writer actually came up with this story. She came across this incident, this fight in a bus, and she thought, what is the line that I liked the most here is, uh, I sat where I was, more depressed than ever, hating the whole hopeless, stupid business, and wondering, now the important part, wondering whether the human species would ever grow up enough to learn to communicate without using fists of one kind or another. This story was written decades back, but it is still relevant even today. Even today, we observe that people have forgotten how to communicate socially. So, this kind of situation is observed even today. If you travel by a bus, if you travel by a train, you would observe this kind of situation very frequently, where for no reason people would start arguing, people would start fighting, people would start God knows what. But we are simply unable to communicate without using fists. We get angry so easily, isn't it? Somebody
We
says
are
us something.
misusing we are misusing our communication skills. She wants to communicate.
Unfortunate. Yes, of course, we are doing that. And the irony is, the irony is, we don't even know that. We are not aware about it. For us, it has become very natural. To get angry has become very natural for us. so natural that we don't give a damn to it. We think that okay, it is always like this and it should be like this. I'm sure you must have experienced, you must have observed, particularly when this road accidents happen. I'm sure you have experienced or you have either seen such things. People get so angry. A road accident is just an example, by the way. I'm just giving you an example, a handy example, which we come across almost every day. People get so angry that they would literally start fighting in the sense they would in the sense that they would pull out the stick, they would pull out the sword, they would pull out the knife sometime. Now situation is getting worse day by day. And who knows what would happen after that. Like I remember I read this news yesterday, I guess, in the newspaper that um, it happened in Rajkot itself, that uh, this some two three people, they were drunk, and one of them killed his friend. So I'm not going into the detail deliberately because I don't want you to really go into it, but I'm just sharing, so I'll not talk about it much. But these things happen. And when such things happen, we realize that the writer who wrote these things years back, decades back, they were so true, they were so correct that we are experiencing it now. And it is increasing day by day. God knows what will happen in future. I'm not very pessimistic about it. I'm not negative about the society, and I'm not negative about the future. Okay, please don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is what we need actually is we need to introspect a bit. God has given us, the Almighty has given us language. The Almighty has given us the ability to speak, to read, to write, to communicate. Are we using this ability? Are we using this skill that we have in the right direction, for the right purpose, and in the right way, most importantly? Right? So, with this note, we will call it a day. If you want to share something, anybody of you, if you want to share something, most welcome. You can unmute your mic and share. There's one thing that I want to share is that when we meet tomorrow, our focus would be on the language, particularly if you remember. In the first story, we talked about past. In the second story, we talked about future. In this story, we'll talk about present. So, with that point in mind, we'll meet tomorrow and we'll finish this story, and then we'll move to the next unit. And tomorrow, I'll also give you I have already told you that completing this online course is one of your assignments that you have to complete. Apart from that, I'll also give you one more assignment, regular assignment, tomorrow for this course, which also you have to complete. So with this, we call it a day. If you want to ask anything, if you want to share anything, if you anything that you would like to say, you are most welcome. Otherwise, share your attendance details in the chat box and leave the meeting. Uh, don't forget to write your branch and whether you are an Indian or international student. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.